I think this one is a funny joke. At the same time, it's the truth. I bet fans of the band Puscifer never expected that they would actually have to thank Bob Odenkirk and David Cross, Arrested Development, Better Call Saul, for the fact that the band Puscifer exists. This isn't a joke. It's legitimately from the history, like the next section I'm going to do anyway. But this band was actually created as a joke band from the Mr. Show, starring Bob Odenkirk and David Cross. Arrested Development, Better Call Saul. Anyway, if you don't know those guys, you should, because they're awesome. But this band actually appeared as a fake band, as a joke band, in Better Call Saul, Arrested Development show, the Mr. Show. And they were a spinoff. It was a joke. It was just a crazy, your mom's a bitch shirt-wearing Maynard Keenan in the background, playing weird out there music about id, ego, and anima. Of course, cookie recipes. It's just this crazy weird thing, and eventually it was just so much fun that he made it into an actual band. So thank you, Bob. Thank you, David. I love you already, but thank you even more. This is a band that was its true form a side project for Maynard, because even though he works with Tool, you kind of remember that Dana Curry is there as well in A Perfect Circle. There's tons of other members that run that group with him. This one, he's the only solid remaining member. The nice little Varsity artwork there that they're so good for. Got some more. And right? This is the getup he wears for his live performance, but we'll get into that later. Puscifer started from Maynard James Keenan, known for Perfect Circle and Tool, of course. He's the only real member you need to pay attention to because the band's lineup changes. After being formed in 2007 from the Mr. Show, they became an actual music clothing line as a band. It's one of the weirdest things. In 2008, Keenan updated the Puscifer.com blog, revealing the first ever Puscifer store would be opening on July 1st. From there, merchandise would be available. Don't Shoot the Messenger, a 4-track EP, was released in 2007, followed by the first album, V is for Vagina. I'm not kidding, that's the title. It came out on April 10th, 2007, posted on the official website. From there, there's an alternate version of Country Boner that would become a single release separately. Keenan announced at the end of July this album would be titled V for Vagina. A few days later, the first single was Queen Bee. From there, we have, a lot of remixes, to be honest. V is for Viagra, C is for insert sophomore genitalia reference here, and finally we get to the first full-length a few years later. Second full-length, the real one that isn't a joke. Conditions of My Parole. This is where he starts to take his music seriously, and it actually starts to mean something. Conditions of My Parole was followed by an EP called Donkey Punch the Night, and now we arrive at Money Shot. Money Shot is, even though it looks like a joke and a farce, it's real. It's an actual album that matters. Let's go into my review of Money Shot. I know it's a joke band at first, but I honestly believe that Maynard gets more from this than he gets from Tool and A Perfect Circle. He loves performing with them, but this is his ultimate freedom. He's allowed to do anything and everything, and he does, and that's the great part about it. The live show I just witnessed from them was a luchador-style concert, including a luchador wrestler mat in the middle and luchador wrestlers that they would wrestle during the concert. That was the theme, and he went with it. It's the fact that you can do things like that Maynard loves. It's just interesting. Let me preface this by just saying, if you're a fan of Tool, this probably isn't for you, so please stop watching instead of just getting angry at it, because I know you're not going to like it. But if you have an open mind, and you love Maynard's voice and other work other than just the heavy metal sounds, then check it out, honestly. First track on the album is called Galileo. It opens with an electronic beat with full vocal harmonies and a very layered composition. This song is great in so many ways. It has a lot to offer. It shows the direct direction of the album along with the more electronic ambient beats. It's just thick, beautiful vocal lines that are layered to a rich compositions. It's an album highlight. Honestly. The next one is called Angostina. It's an electronic strumming, starts up before Maynard joins in with beautiful vocal line. It's a very stripped back beginning before expanding and exploring electronic layers and synth and drum machines, as well as many other sounds. The vocals here are also dubbed over by a second vocalist, Karina Round, who would appear on the entire album as a whole, and the live show, actually. It builds to a gorgeous end. From here, the third one is the lead single, Grand Canyon. It starts with a slow electric guitar riff that drones as it begins, and other lines, extremely distant Maynard vocals in the backup. This song is a huge combination of layers that come together, and I mean huge. It's like dense, everything happening at the same time. It's electronic, it's got guitar, it's bass-driven, it's vocally dense, it's all over the place. The next one, Simultaneous, is a very weird Maynard style of song, where it starts with a spoken word story over an electric beat. The story goes throughout most of the song as the backup vocals play in the background. It's a very strange story. I tried to research the meaning, but even on Reddit, where they discussed the story in depth, they couldn't agree whether it was a personality, like his alter ego having a conversation, or if it was an actual occurrence of somebody he met. Nobody knows. So it's a story. If you're curious, look it up. Reddit doesn't know. And if Reddit doesn't know, I don't know. The song is in itself, a strong electronic rock song. From there we get to Money Shot, one of the two songs on here that really rocks out and resembles The Perfect Circle to me. Maynard gives into his fierceness in the vocals, but he doesn't lose the electric vibe of the album as built. It's a strong rock song, but it's also very electrically ambient, and I think it's a highlight. Next is The Arsonist. The Arsonist calms back things a bit with quieter electronic sound that adds layers and builds to a huge, big ending. Then we get to The Remedy. This one is huge, and you need to listen to this if anything, because The Remedy is one of the best songs that Maynard has ever written. I honestly believe that. It's my favorite, hands down. This song is everything this album has been culminating up to this point, clarified and intensified. It's everything. It's a gorgeous ballad. It's a furious rocker. It's brilliant ambiance with electrics, rock, guitars, beautiful vocal lines from Karina and Maynard. It's just everything I want to hear from him. And just hearing him talking about how he thinks somebody who speaks too much speaks that way because they've never been smacked in the mouth, brings a smile to your face. The exact line is, "You speak like somebody who's never been smacked in the fucking mouth, because that's okay, we have the remedy." I just love that line from him. It's a huge song. I love it. Smoke and Mirrors slows things down again, fairly stripped down comparison to The Remedy, but it's a beautiful song. It doesn't add as many lines, or it's not as dense with the electronic sections in the past, but it's a difference. It's a nice change, and you can hear that the album isn't just one thing. The next one is called Flippant. It's not on the actual album, but I checked it out on the iTunes version of it. Flippant is a very weird song. It's a building back of layers that's been cut down, mostly focused on electric instrumentals. It shows the denseness of the arrangements, not to mention some weird Maynard, strange Maynard moments. Snuck in as always. The next one is called Life of Brian. Apparently, you haven't seen. It's a drone as Maynard and Karina's backup singers come back in to weave lines around each other as they build and then fall away. The song makes great use of the strange electronic sounds, and weaving vocal lines are ever on point here. From here we get to the album's closer, Autumn. It's an absolutely beautiful closing song. It starts quietly with just Maynard and a beat and expands from there. Maynard and Karina make the best use here of their trading vocals of any point on the entire album. The song pushes the limits of the arrangement so far on the album and really embraces the best of both the electronic beats and the guitars, as well as the beautiful, just bending vocal lines. It's an absolute highlight, and I think they reach the peak of the potential of the album with this song, as well as The Remedy. Those two for sure. This project was started as a joke. We all know that. It was started on a TV show as a fake band, but honestly, I really think that I wasn't expected to say this, but I hope that he doesn't just retire this permanently. I hope he takes it a few years off and does some Tool and A Perfect Circle things, finally get that Tool album. But I really think it would be a shame if he didn't come back to this at some point, because he's finally created something that he could never have done with A Perfect Circle and Tool. It's very different. They were starting to shape that electric sound on Conditions of My Parole, but I feel like, even though that was my favorite Puscifer album before listening to this is my favorite now because it's so different from anything he's done before. It's truly a beautiful, ambient, electronic rock album that's both dense and perfectly balanced. Both he and Karina really work together, and the best moments of the album come together when they work together on the duets. It's a nice break for Maynard. Hopefully he comes back with Tool and A Perfect Circle after this, but don't count this one out. It's really a decent band, and I hope it comes back. Recommended songs: Galileo, Money Shot, The Remedy, and Autumn. 4.5 out of 5. Honestly, really solid.